Alright, we're back at it. This is where we ended up last time. Most of the canvas is all covered and filled in with paint, and the basic idea is there. So the next step on this one is I'm just going to use black for the next round and kind of ink the painting. So just kind of draw the line work of the painting that I want in there. So let's just go with that. Yeah, this little tree behind him. So I'm just kind of filling in all these little kind of hanging down foliage, like it's kind of full of leaves, just kind of hanging down off of these branches we just made. Some little squiggly kind of bark lines across the body of the tree. That was a little mess up there. It's okay. A little more paint than I wanted. Just roll with it. Alright. What do you guys think this turtle should be called? What do you guys think this turtle should be called? Everybody always asks me questions about what characters are what, and names, and if I have names for every painting, and all kinds of stuff. So sometimes I have names, sometimes I don't. But you guys can think of a name for this guy, maybe. What's a fun turtle name that's never been named in pop culture? Just kind of making him a happy little dude. Here, I like putting some little teeth there, making his mouth open, and make some squiggles coming out like he's singing. Kind of very Van Gogh painterly style. Alright, so he's got this top of the shell that kind of wraps around. Kind of like a hooded sweatshirt. Alright, so he's got his banjo. Let's start across here and get a good and clean straight line right there. Alright, so he's got his picking hand here, plucking them strings on his banjo. Hey, that looks so much more detailed. And you know, just a little short while there, you can see how just black outlines really define everything that was kind of vague before. It's kind of a ghost of an image before, and now it's really popping out. And even with drips and mistakes and things, you know. But we'll fix that. Everything can be fixed. Just adds more areas of interest. Alrighty. Has a little turtle tail sticking out from the back of the shell there. Alrighty. Get some segmented shell sections on the back of his back here, on his little shelly shell. You know, a lot of things I like to add interest with concentric lines. So, like, you know, a target is a concentric circle. Or concentric circles. So now he's got his fingering hand over here. Kind of thumb sort of pokes out around on the other side. I know, technically on banjos, these little tuning forks go straight back like a stand-up bass, and they don't poke out that way like a guitar. But you know what? I like painting them like this, so that's how I do it. And in your world of painting, you can do that. Make all kinds of wrong decisions and paint things the wrong way. But you know, I really don't think anybody's ever said anything to me about that one. Swirly cartoon kneecap. He's got a little swirly kneecap. Some little toes here. But that's just being silly though. But hey, that's the way you gotta look at life. At least you got it as good as you got it. Alright, that little mushroom dude's chilling. And he's saying, yo, at least I got a log with a turtle playing jams on it. Awesome. This mark making on the bottom there, so it's just kind of like grass and things coming up. You make something that's a little taller. Oh, little guy's yellow. He's a little sleepy. He's smiling though. It's just got spots. And this one, it's just like, woo. This one's got his tongue hanging out. little fun guys, you know what I'm saying? All around us. Hopefully you're a little fun guy too, you know? So, sometimes you come in here and make some hatch marks, and then you come back and you make some circles. You're just making little scaly sort of rough texture for your little turtle. Alright. And this leg's a little shorter. It's kind of supposed to be a little bit in perspective, I guess, a little further behind than that one. And that's probably the bottom of his shell. A little more hatching underneath here, so it's kind of like a little more shadow. And I do these little circles and hatching, kind of back and forth on the texture of my different turtle folk. And now I just kind of adding some grit and texture, maybe some dots too. Alright. So he's sitting on a stump, like Amos Moses, as I mentioned in the previous video, I believe. So he's got this top of this stump and the rounds of a tree. You know, you count the circle, you count the rounds of the year of the tree. Kind of take the little, where it goes out like a little bit right there, you make your lines coming down from there, so it sort of makes sense along the ridge lines there. And just going down to some roots and some mushrooms. There's still parts of the canvas, you know, where you can still see the white of the canvas. And usually you want all that covered up a little bit, but alright. And this leg's a little shorter. It's kind of supposed to be a little bit in perspective, I guess, a little further behind than that one. And that's probably the bottom of his shell. A little more hatching underneath here, so it's kind of like a little more shadow. And I do these little circles and hatching, kind of back and forth on the texture of my different turtle folk. And now I just kind of adding some grit and texture. Maybe some dots too. Alright. So he's sitting on a stump, like Amos Moses, as I mentioned in the previous video, I believe. So he's got this top of this stump and the rounds of a tree. You know, you count the circle, you count the rounds of the year of the tree. Kind of take the little, where it goes out like a little bit right there. You make your lines coming down from there. So it sort of makes sense along the ridge lines there. I'm just going down to some roots and some mushrooms. There's still parts of the canvas, you know, where you can still see the white of the canvas. Usually you want all that covered up a little bit, but we are still working on that. So today I'm just using black, white, and one shade of blue to kind of finish this painting out. You don't really need to overthink things, and it's good to give yourself some limitations. So we're just going to use this black, that white, and that kind of medium bright blue. Out here in the Nassauville, you can hear all sorts of vehicles and their music driving by. It makes for excellent videos. But that's the real world, man. I'm just out here getting it started. You know, Jake Parker says in his videos, it's a completion over perfection. You gotta make something and get it out in the world. Even if it's not perfect, it's better to get it out there and be a stepping stone to something better. So, you know, I'm just going to do these loose videos where they're kind of more simple subject matter, so I can learn how to make videos. So this little foot's kind of resting on the roots of the tree right there. Ooh, dropping my brush. If I'm not dropping the ball, I'm dropping my brush. Alright. Little fins coming out underneath the ridge of this little mushroom guy. He's got some stripes. This guy here. He's got a little smiley face. Some freckles. This little mushroom's like, dang, if I gotta be a mushroom on a log, at least I'm a mushroom on a log with a turtle sitting on it, playing some jams on his banjo. I hope maybe there's an owl sitting on top of it. But that's just being silly though. But hey, that's where you gotta look at life. At least you got it as good as you got it. Alright, that little mushroom dude's chilling. And he's saying, yo, at least I got a log with a turtle playing jams on it. Awesome. This mark making on the bottom there, so it's just kind of like grass and things coming up. You make something that's a little taller. Oh, little guy's yellow. He's a little sleepy. He's smiling though. It's just got spots. And this one, it's just like, woo. This one's got his tongue hanging out. Little fun guys, you know what I'm saying? All around us. Hopefully you're a little fun guy too, you know? So, sometimes you come in here and make some hatch marks, and then you come back and you make some circles. You're just making little scaly sort of rough texture for your little turtle. Alrighty, back at it. Alright, so we got this little owl guy up here. Let's see what we're gonna do with him. Alrighty. Let's give him some kind of feathery top of his head and you can make your owl as bushy or as kind of roundy or whatever you want. These are just imaginary owls that I paint. Alright. Let's give him a little wing coming over this way like this. Maybe this guy's playing like a little like ukulele or something. Let's go. A sound hole. Alright. And for all you left-handed people out there, Kevin, I'm looking at you. All you lefties. Like I was saying, for all you left-handed people out there, this little owl, he's playing left-handed. A lot of ways to make flowers. It's kind of some little abstract, kind of mod star flowers. Alright, now I'm going to take a little bit of a little bigger brush compared to that little tiny round brush. Just kind of do a little bit of shading in some parts of it. Might go over something and have to, freshen it up later, but that's okay. So we're kind of like the light's going to sort of come from that way is what I'm imagining it. So things over here are going to be, on this side will be darker. Or things that are behind things, like the shells behind the arm there. So maybe we add a little bit there. It's been a couple of minutes since the last video, so a lot of this I'm outside and the layers are drying, you know, they're pretty good. So whenever I go back over it with a wetter layer like this, it's not really making all of the paint bleed all over the place. Alright, now we're going to switch over to this medium blue, kind of a medium bright blue, and I'm not really gonna worry about doing too much but defining shapes. So if there's a spot where the background is muddy, I hear you, buddy, I hear you. Like right there. And I like to be very painterly, so that means you can see the brush strokes, you can see the hand of the artist. It's not super smoothed out. Sometimes there's smoother areas, but vroom vroom, said the turtle. Very on point. Very on point. So we're gonna take it down and give him some spots, blue spots. Just kind of building up layers of texture. So, you know, it's like you're starting and it's not all filled in one color, and then you don't do the dots everywhere one color. But as you're building up the different layers, you're like, oh, these blue spots are gonna fill those in. You know, it's all just building it up in this kind of mosaic of layers. Alright, so I did a little bit more while my glasses were charging here. My camera was charging. So, a little bit more black, a little bit more blue, but darken up a little bit more around the bottom, a little dark, little shadows. The tree kind of stopped right there, so I continued that down. Got more blue blocked in for all the areas that were showing a little bit more of the tooth of the canvas, like, you know, the little texture of the fabric of the canvas. So that's looking a lot better. Got the owl chilling with his little left-handed little ukulele or whatever, some sort of little guitar. So we got this happy little terrapin and his good time partner, his little good timing friend, the owl. I think they might be singing, "Who are you? Who, 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 who." All right. So for this last part, I'm just gonna come through with some white and do some kind of little highlights and a little bit more detail with some white. And then I feel like this painting is just about there. You know, for I don't know, with all the recording and stuff, I don't even know if it's probably about an hour of work on this guy. This 16 by 20 inch or 20 by 16 inch, however you want to say it, canvas. And you know, some parts are just little highlights, and some parts you're kind of coloring in some things. So the inside of the banjo is usually white like a snare drum head. And some of it's just kind of highlighting some stuff to make it pop out just a little bit. But, you know, Thomas Kincaid, painter of light. There is something to that, I guess, you know. Highlights and little as I was saying, highlights really bring the painting to life and kind of guide the eye and kind of add an element of realism. Even if it's abstract, you can have an element of realism, an element of believability. You know, that this is believable in this space, in this imaginary world, with these rules. It looks right. So we got all these lines coming up here and kind of adding a little more contrast. Just really just popping out and adding a little bit of contrast and just definition where it's needed. Right there, you know, it's kind of, his leg should be going forward a lot, so a little bit of an outline right there, just a light one, really makes that kind of pop out and come forward. In some spots, just the blue of the background's bright enough. You don't really need to add a highlight. So adding a bunch of white to him so that he kind of really sticks out from the background. He's blending in a little bit too much. And nobody makes perfect lines the first time usually. You come back and cut things in, and just like the nose, that line right there was way too thick, and now it's nice and carved in there and pointy, the way I want it. A hand coming in front of the guitar right there. Yeah, a little bit of a highlight the kind of but where the hand overlaps, so you give it a little highlight right there to show that it's overlapping, define it a little bit, and give it a little bit more dimension and space. That shell right there, it was kind of blending in with the leg a little bit. Put a little line right there. And now, same thing with the leg right there. Now the leg kind of looks behind the shell. Amazing what you can do with just line work. If this was just black and white, you could still do a lot of cool stuff. I don't really like this. That shell needs to go over the top of that. So I'm gonna, even at this late stage right there, I'm gonna change that. If something doesn't look right and you recognize it, change that shit. Just come in and add a little bit of blue over some of that. Change that stuff, as I should have said. Change that stuff. And don't put up with it. If it doesn't look right, don't put up with it. That's you being lazy. And trust me, I'm a lazy person, so I'm lazy in most facets of my life, but I know that when you edit the painting the correct way, it makes it better. There's a lot of things you can get away with. You don't have to make anything perfect. But if you see something that doesn't look right, just fix that. Just fix whatever it is. Fix that thing. Alrighty. I had a couple more of these little flowers up here. They're a little smaller, kind of like they're going in the distance, or they're just newer. Little shoots there. Maybe add a couple on this side. It just adds a little tiny bit of interest and depth and just a background element. Doesn't have to be very detailed. Just a hint. Just a hint of something going on right there. You know, so it's not just a, oh, that looks wrong over there, or there's nothing there, or whatever. Kind of matches that side. Makes this side pop out just a little bit. You know, I do my little squares and pixelations. That's something I've done for, I don't know, ever since I've started painting. I just like making little patterns and little kind of visual textures. What I think of my squares, visual texture. So it's a little pattern. It makes some areas a little more rhythmic. Maybe it flows a little bit, and I just kind of throw them in there. So it's better to do less than more on those, but who knows. But it's a very signature Brian Bernard art element. Little pixelations. Alright, a quick little hour-long terrapin. There's a 20-inch tall by 16-inch wide canvas by Brian Bernard Art. And I've probably painted a good many of these guys now, and they're always doing a little something different, and they got different little friends with them, and they might be sitting on a stump or sitting on a log or sitting on an alligator. Maybe they're marching down a road, hiking up a hill, canoeing down a stream, just playing in the creek. Sometimes they're tubing down the river. Usually they're having a good time. So I hope you guys had a good time watching. Who are you? Who? Oh, who the heck are you? Alright. A quick little hour-long terrapin. There's a 20-inch tall by 16-inch wide canvas by Brian Bernard Art. And I've probably painted a good many of these guys now, and they're always doing a little something different, and they got different little friends with them, and they might be sitting on a stump or sitting on a log or sitting on an alligator. Maybe they're marching down a road, hiking up a hill, canoeing down a stream, just playing in the creek. Sometimes they're tubing down the river. Usually they're having a good time. So I hope you guys had a good time watching. Who are you? Who? Oh, who the heck are you?